Ready. Play.
We got Jack Draper taking on Luciano Darderi. They've played once. It was in Vienna. So indoor conditions where Draper came out on top. Now we're into, the slower clay conditions in Rome. Draper coming off that Madrid final, had a great week. I think the altitude definitely helped him out there. And now it gives us another chance to see him at, slower clay. We saw him at Monte Carlo. He competed hard, ran into a tough version of Fakina. I think the match could have gone either way. But, once again, just another opportunity. And, for Darderi, not had much rhythm over the past, 3-4 weeks, but he, is coming in here over a big win over Boo. It was a night match, which, definitely started later than people expected, and he kind of had to grind it out. So what are you thinking here, Fergus?
Yeah, this is another opportunity for Draper to play on the slower clay, really have to grind out those points, use the forehand even more than he was in Madrid. It's going to have less pop on it, but, I still expect his forehand to be fully firing. He can take all sorts of confidence from last week. First clay final, second Masters final in 2 months. Only guy to make 2 Masters finals this year. So, yeah, I see Draper coming through this 4-3 into Darderi's going to pose a few issues probably early on, trying to figure him out, I guess, on the clay especially. But as soon as Draper figures it out, it should be smooth sailing. Obviously, the last time Draper had a big run in the Masters, and then we played in Miami, he ran into a god tier version of Jakub Mensik, and unless Darderi plays like that, I don't see Darderi winning this match. But yeah, Draper into pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I think there are 2 things that could work against Draper here. One is that he did just have a late run into a Masters final, which, as Fergus just mentioned, resulted in a round 1 loss in the very next week in Miami. Miami is very different conditions to Rome, though, so maybe not putting as far as like humidity, temperature, obviously it's a different court. So there's that aspect of it. Also, it is slower clay, which has not necessarily been his friend throughout his career. So it will be interesting to see how he handles that challenge on some slower clay. Darderi, though, he hasn't necessarily been looking like he's going to pose a massive challenge to top players in the last few weeks. So, yeah, I think Draper should come through this one fairly easily.
The title fatigue is important to think about, but yeah, from a raw talent perspective, it's you give the edge to Draper, but Darderi, home country, we don't know when they'll be scheduled yet. I think he has the weapons to pose a little of a threat, more of a clay oriented game. And his backhand is good enough, I think, to hold up. But, we'll see. It's kind of all about how Jack's level is and how he is fitness-wise. So, yeah.
They said that Draper was talking about how in an interview he did, how quick turnaround's becoming more and more sort of prevalent for him. Obviously, won the title in Indian Wells and then went straight to Miami. You have to remember that Jack's level was not bad in Miami.
I know.
It's that Mensik was playing, obviously the eventual champion was just playing absolutely nuts and was serving off the charts. So like a 9.8 serve rating. So yeah, I think title fatigue he didn't even win the title, but final fatigue is something that we could think about, but I don't expect it to be a big thing here. Obviously played on Sunday, it's now Thursday. He won't play till he's not playing till tomorrow. I think Draper comes through this easily.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.